we're here at Shoe Healer and we've had a customer send some boots in for repair. They are a Belstaff boot and they are called the Rode boot. And they actually, we're looking at the website, we see that at some point at full price they were over £400, just over £400. Some people are actually selling them now for £250, but they don't make them anymore. It doesn't look like they do anyway. Anyway, customer sent us a pair in. What can we do with them? It looks like they've had a little bit of a good life with him. They're nicely worn on the heel, nicely worn on the sole. But the issue is, and the customer is asking this, are they Goodyear welted and are they repairable and that sort of thing? Well, the welt is a mock welt which is stuck to the boot. This mock welt here, look, can you see that? It's starting to come undone in a few places. However, the rest of it seems really well stuck on. It is cracked in a few places and we can see where it's pulling back a little bit. You see where that's pulling back and leaving a little bit of a gap there. Not the end of the world that is happening. You can see it on this boot here as well, look. Not the end of the world. When you've got your foot in there, you wouldn't particularly see that. Why is that happening? Well, we have a look inside the boot because that's where you see how good a boot is. So we have a look inside the boot and the insole is a little bit loose and we just pull the insole up and we can see in there some cardboard, Conti board. So this boot has a insole made of a cardboard type material. And what starts to happen, if you just come in here, this is the insole. And the insole and the outer sole trapped together at the side and it holds the upper nice and tight to the edge of the boot. This is obviously in a construction with a mock sole. So it holds it nice and tight. As the insole, because it's cardboard, it gets soft and it curls up a little bit at the edges. And as it curls up a little bit at the edges, there's no more support to hold that down. Now, we can't do a lot about that, so that's something that you have to live with. This is Blake Stitched, and what we can do is just stitch a little bit further out, just to tighten that edge up a little bit. But it's not really worth spending a lot of money on this boot because the construction is the construction of a fashion boot, not a properly Goodyear welted boot, although it has got really nice uppers and it looks like this was a cracking sole on there and it will have given some good service. So what can we do? What would we advise to do? Well, I can't tell you what Paul said, but what we can do is bond this mock welt back down, and it's only coming loose on the instep here. Bond it back down, make sure that's all solid. It is cracked a little bit, but that gives the boot this little bit of old patina or patina, so it looks okay. So we can bond that back down, and then what we would do, we would machine all this sole down to a nice thin level, stitch just outside the already where it's got the Blake stitching already, just stitch slightly to the outside to tighten the boot up a little bit. And then once we've machined that, once we've stitched it, we would bond a sole back on and a matching heel. Now, because of the construction of the boot, you wouldn't really want to do a full rebuild on them and mess about. I mean, somebody could do a full rebuild and put a mock welt back on there, a new mock welt, then a leather midsole, and then Blake that, and then put a full unit on the bottom. But it would be a nightmare of a job, really. The boot isn't worth spending all that money on. So this repair on here would be round about the £65 mark. So it makes an older fashion boot, which was expensive, but was too expensive. Shouldn't have been anything like that. It'll give it some life again, clean the uppers up, and they will be a nice boot again, if the gentleman wants to go down that road. So my friend just said to me, it was in the shop, and he said, I've just listened to what you've done there on that video. He said, why don't you rub into him a good pair of boots, show him what he should be buying for his money? Well, being a salesman, it's a little bit of a, I don't know, it's difficult. I don't want to rub boots into anybody. You buy them, you don't buy them. Salesmen, they're a little bit of a strange breed they are, and I don't consider myself a salesperson, really. Although you know, we have to do a little bit of sales. This is the proper boot. This is the Joseph Cheaney. This is what this boot is pretending to be. This is the proper deal. Fully leather lined, leather insole, leather midsole, full leather Goodyear welted with the storm welt. Absolutely fabulous. Brilliant elastics in it. It's got quite a bit of weight to it. It's got the proper commando sole, not the pretend one. It really is a beautiful boot, but it's £475. Now the full price of this was £425. This, at the side of this should have been 75 quid. This is the proper deal. This is the proper thing, made in England by Cheaney. It's a beautiful boot. These are chalk and cheese. This one day might have looked beautiful, but it was never a patch on this. This will keep going forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. It's a beautiful boot. This is the proper thing. Be careful what you're spending your hard-earned money on. Here's the boots all sorted out. They've had the logger sole and heel fitted. Underneath that logger sole has been Blake stitched all the way around here, a little bit further out, just to get rid of the gap that was round here where the upper had pulled back from the welt a little bit. So we've Blake stitched all that, bonded the unit on, and they have turned out really nice. A lot of wear left in those boots.